Hello, we are live. Hey, and Dave is here.
We have people. Hello.
Hello, guys. So, as the title says, we should have 4 people here, but
At present, we're half of that.
yeah. Okay, I need to mute something. So, I'm watching my. Okay, so I was watching my own stream there, and I heard myself talking, and I was scared and had to close that window quickly. So, yeah, as the title says, there should be 4 people. We're waiting for Max to join us in a few minutes, and we'll see about Andrew. He has some personal issues, let's put it that way, so he might join us for a while, but unfortunately he can't be here for the whole live stream. That's live.
Where the cookie crumbles.
Yes. Hey, Dave. So Cheddar Kung Pao is Dave, one guy from TGU team, and he's going to a PRS event today.
Ooh, very nice.
Dave, what are you going to buy from there? And hi, Riley. And Steph, 131.
A few good people in here. I recognize some names.
Nice. That's always fun. Well, Dave comments to every single video everywhere, so
yeah, can't escape.
Yeah, even if you try. All right, so let's go to the actual topic. So we are talking about guitars in the sense that modifying guitars, building guitars. Colin and I have both built more than one guitar, and I guess I'll start with a question right away. Like, what is your approach to guitar? Like, do you modify a little bit, a lot? You've obviously built stuff as well. Like, do you actually take your guitar to someone else for repairs? Like, do you do it anymore?
I've never relied on anyone else to do any guitar work for me. No, I started off. I sort of got into modifying guitars, and this I'll show you the guitar actually.
Yeah, sure.
This is the one that got me into modifying everything. This actually came from one of my dad's friend's sons. He was building this through-neck Stratocaster at some point, 19 years previous, and abandoned the project because he could never get it to work properly. And it had lain in bits for a while, and I started playing guitar, and I hadn't learned anything about guitar yet. I was just starting to play, and I was like, oh yeah, Gav's guitar is lying in bits. Do you want to try and put it together? And I learned pretty much everything I needed to know about guitar maintenance and setup from this, because it just came in pieces, and I was go, what does this do? How does this bridge work? The springs, I don't understand this. So yeah, this is the thing that got me into the whole modification thing. Because as soon as I started doing this and having to go, oh, I can change the wiring, I can change the switching, I can I'll change bits of the body to do this and that, I went, right, okay, this is the bug. And that's where that started.
That's cool. Yeah, I think mine kind of started, I'd say, from the time I got my first like guitar with Floyd Rose, or it was an Ibanez guitar, so it was Edge something, and I tried to I would try to demonstrate the guitar to my friends, like play it, and I said, okay, I need to tune this, and I turned the tuner on the headstock and snapped a string right away. And I was like, okay, I need to learn a bit more about the guitars. So that's how it started for me. I think a huge step, like I've been able to solder a little bit. We're getting good questions, by the way. Keep them coming. We'll get to Q&A part soon as well. So I think I took a huge jump kind of forward, like skill-wise, and actually started to know what I'm doing when I went to a guitar building course.
Oh, like, you did that?
Yeah, like in the city I live in, there's a local, actually there's like several luthiers who earn like part of their living by holding those kind of guitar building courses. They have, let's say, 10 people there, and we go there once a week for 3 hours, and we get all the materials there, like at least all the woods. Then we order the kind of hardware and stuff ourselves, and he shows us how to build stuff. And I built a telly and a kind of more Les Paul thing. I'll show the telly.
Get it out.
Yeah. Anyone who has watched my channel has most definitely seen this. It used to be like a telly pickup and a telly neck pickup. Nowadays it has 2 Strat single coils and a 5-way switch, just because I wanted to make it a more kind of all-arounder, and it works surprisingly well. And yeah, I spent 2 years working on this because it was like 3 hours per week, and I think we had like about 10 weeks in the fall time and 10 weeks in the springtime. So it's not a crazy amount of hours when you are building your first guitar. And this turned out to be a pretty good instrument. I learned a lot. After that, I've been able to at least set up the neck and like the radius on the bridge, because this has individual saddles. I can accommodate it to the radius of the fretboard and stuff like that. So that actually kind of, I know what I'm doing nowadays. But yeah, after that, I've been like, if a friend of mine asks, can you like set up my guitar, I can actually say yes. And most of the time I know what I'm doing. I have to like mention that most of the time. Sometimes not so much.
Sometimes you gotta take a guess.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
my modification stuff, after getting that guitar and setting it up and got me the bug, I started modifying my guitars and friends' guitars. And there's a few very early videos on my channel, because I started off the channel supposed to be like a Collins Guitar Mods channel. That used to be the name before CSGuitars came into existence. And it was purely just like doing sort of crazy modifications. So like a friend of mine had a BC Rich War Beast with a Floyd Rose, and we fitted it's called a trem setter, which stops if a string snaps, it holds the tension at the bridge so it doesn't all go out of tune. So one of the early videos there is me doing that modification to the guitar so that we can do that. Or there's repairs. There's another friend of mine had an acoustic guitar with a headstock that snapped off it. So it was yeah, and looking back, it wasn't very well done on my part. Well, the repair, the actual glue joint and repairing the 2 pieces back together was fine. It was more the trying to finish the veneer, because all the veneer had cracked and come off. I didn't know what I was doing there, so I was just trying to pack it with like wood dust and get it to smooth it out and spray it. So it didn't look very great in the end, but the repair worked. So that was a big learning process for me, was going through that right at the start and just try to repair guitars and modify things early on.
Yeah. I have some experience in repairing like guitar neck, because the other one I've built, this one, actually this one I built much faster than the first one, and it kind of shows in small details, like Finnish isn't as good. And yeah, the biggest thing that happened was, like, I don't know if you can see that there's stuff going on. So when I was like, the guitar was ready, I was finishing like the buffing of the kind of lacquer over here, and there was the rotating buffer brush thing that actually like does the actual buffering. And there was near that was a screw that was rotating as well at a crazy speed, and that screw kind of sunk into the guitar neck.
Ouch.
And it's been patched with I think we made like sawdust out of mahogany and added some glue and stuff like that, and added some, I think we also added like ebony and some color thing. So you can see it, but if you play it, you don't really notice it, but it's there. And yeah, when I actually like, what I would love to do nowadays, I did a video with a friend of mine. I don't know if he's watching. Basically, there's a video on my channel where we kind of replace the electronics on my friend's like Squire Jazzmaster, and I'd love to get that kind of guitar myself and like modify everything about it. That would be fun.
Just when you say that, this is my first guitar.
Ooh.
And it's a Squire Bullet Special. And when like stock, this guitar would have had one humbucker here and a volume control and nothing else. And this was the project. So I started off doing, upgrading the electronics and the pickup gear, and then went, I want a Super Strat with the HSS format. So it was a case I got a couple of bare knuckles. Had to route the body. That was the first time I'd bought a router and used the router.
So you used like the hand
router, yeah, plunge router.
Oh,
all hand tools. Yeah. No, we'll come on to like my process. My process. You're going to be shocked at how I build guitars.
Okay.
Actually, having gone through a course to know how to do it properly, you're going to be totally like, what? How did you? But yeah, I got a plunge router and did that. Added more electronics. Everything's been upgraded to this guitar that can possibly be upgraded. The bridge is new. It's got through string thing. It didn't have that before. Tuners, the whole lot. So it's cheap horse, expensive saddle sort of thing. But it's as best as this guitar can be, and I love the thing. It plays really well, and I played it quite a lot on stage. And again, it's another guitar that I really learned on. But it shows you what you can do with a cheap Squire, and then just like bolt on parts to it until you've got something that's significantly better than what it was. Still never going to be the best guitar in the world, but it can still kick the arse of quite a lot of other things.
Yeah. I was actually at a local guitar store last week, and they had a sale on Squire bullets, like Strats and Tellys as well. It was like 99 euros, which is crazy.
It's stupid cheap.
Yeah, there's like two sides to that. Like on the other hand, it would be super fun to buy like something super cheap and modify it so it becomes decent. But on the other hand, it's not that cheap to do that, actually.
You end up paying what you'd pay for like a mid-price guitar, and all the parts.
Or you can go the extreme way, like Henning did, and like.
that's basically what this is as well. Just like just take as much as you can out of a very cheap instrument.
Do you remember how much the Harley Benton ended up? Like what was the end price? Like 1,500?
Something like that. There was about $1,000 worth of modifications to it, something like that, wasn't there?
Yeah. Oh well.
I mean, I was thinking about doing the same with a Harley Benton because they've got a good platform.
Yeah.
I think I want to do a relic job on one.
Had you tried them before TGU?
I had a couple sent to me prior to that, and I haven't had a chance to do anything with them. It was only a couple of weeks before TGU that they get sent out. So I had touched some, but that was my first experience. My first experience was like a couple of weeks before.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool. Like I had heard a lot about them, but I hadn't tried a single one because my friends don't have any of those, and
yeah,
I guess it's part of being a Finn. Like we're suspicious of everything that's really affordable.
You should be. I mean, I've touched some really bad guitars over the time. There's actually one sitting through there which is shockingly bad. I didn't bring it through for this.
Yeah,
it's a good laugh.
So Dave and some other people said that it was like 1,600 euros for the Harley. You can get like I bought my Les Paul standard new for that money. Actually, less money. So I don't have that guitar anymore, but it was like.
You got to choose what you want to buy. Do you want to buy the nice thing straight off the bat, or do you want to? The joy is in doing it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no like. I don't know, sensible or there's no like proper reason to do it other than it's fun.
Yeah.
Like there's an amp over there in the corner which I also assembled from a kit, and like I spent hours and hours trying to figure out what goes where. I don't really read schematics or anything like that, and I still spend like hours like figuring out one part at a time. Okay, this has to go here because these two parts go here, so it has to be this one. And before I fired it up, I actually checked it with a technician just so I don't kill myself.
That's the most difficult part about building the amp is doing the last safety check before you power it on, before you kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Should we actually take a question? I think you might know the answer to this one. So Riley asks, he has a guitar where 2 frets sound the same. I assume he gets the same note out of both frets.
Yeah. The answer to that one is that one fret is either sitting much higher or one fret is sitting much lower than it should. So what you're finding is that when you're fretting the 2 notes, the string's sitting on the same fret regardless. So it's, when you're say it's a 12th fret, for example, and you're fretting at 12, you're getting the 12th fret sound. And then you fret on 11, but the 11th fret isn't high enough to make contact with the string, so the string's still contacting the 12th fret, so you're getting the same sound. So it's likely a very low fret or one that's very high, either way around, and that's what's causing that 2 of the same note thing. You're needing a recrown on that.
Yeah. So for Riley, I think you can grab like a ruler, I think it's called, and you can kind of try to go through the frets, and you'll probably find out pretty quickly which one is it.
Just going to bring up my tool set here, just as if we're talking about this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
Because one of these
is
a fret rocker, which has different lengths on all different sides, and that allows you to only span 3 frets at a time, and that way you can always find if one's high in the middle, because if one's high in the middle and the other 2 are lower on the outside, it'll rock about the place. But if all the frets are level, it'll sit perfectly on the 3. And so something like that, or as you say, just a ruler will help you out, but maybe pick up one of those if you want to check out fretwork.
Yeah, actually, I need to get myself one of those. I think like both of my guitars need some setup, and I've been thinking about taking them to luthier, but then I realized, okay, I've actually like done frets on those. Maybe I can do it again. Yeah, I need that.
Fretwork was the thing that made me start building guitars in the first place, because I was looking at getting, a kit guitar or something like that. I was looking at getting a custom instrument and started looking at the kit guitar, buy a neck, buy a body, slap them together. And I realized at that point that even if you do that, you still need to have all the fretting tools, because they've put the frets in, but they're not leveled to play, properly as an instrument. You still need to go and dress the frets and level them and make sure it all sits right. So you still need to buy all the tools. And that was the thing that made me go, well, what's the point in buying a kit and then having to buy all the tools? Why don't I just buy the wood and buy all the tools and make the guitar completely from scratch? So that's what got me into doing that, was purely just the fact that fretwork was like, nah, I'll just build the guitar.
Having built 2 guitars, like I know the amount of tools you need to have to do it properly. That's why I wouldn't do it at home. But I know people who've done it from their like home, woodshed, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, like me out in my garage, with bare minimum tools.
Oh man, yeah, that's the thing for me, I guess. But yeah, but leveling frets, I need to check that, because especially the black one, it like whenever I'm recording, I always have to down tune the like low E and A strings, just so they have to be a bit flat. So when I hit like the 3rd fret, it's actually like quite in tune.
Yeah.
So it's either the nut or a fret, like a 2nd fret or something like that. I haven't checked that in a while. Just been working around it for many months now.
There's always that little bit of laziness in it as well, knowing that you've got to go through the process of checking, setting intonation and leveling frets. I was like, oh, I'll just work around.
Yeah, and especially like something I'm still learning, and I don't mean this in like a bragging way or anything, but since I started doing YouTube, just because I'm doing videos, I've been playing like 10 times more than I used to. I used to change guitar strings like twice a year max on a guitar, because I would play the guitar like once or twice a week for 15 minutes. And I don't play every day now, but I play a lot, and I'm still getting used to the fact that strings wear out.
I'm the opposite. I used to change strings a lot more than I do now. Yeah, because back when I was playing in band and whatnot, it was a case of we're playing all the time, so it was like changing strings constantly. But
Sure.
but now, because I'm in the studio and I'm using the clear tones and they last a hell of a lot longer, I'm barely changing strings. It's a novelty for me now to go and do like a restring and I'll pretty much do like a little fret polish every single time. I change the strings, just make sure everything's fine. Just give it a wee recrown if it needs it.
Yeah, I think I need to do that as well. I have those kind of, they look like what's called erasers, or like those.
Yeah. Sort of like these things.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those, so they make kind of polishing the frets pretty easy.
Yeah, because I've got a bunch of those at different grits, and also the fine polishing pads as well. And a whole bunch of different grits, so you can get them up nice, shiny.
Okay, Max says he's almost there, which means
almost there.
It either means he's almost at home or he's almost joining us. One of the two.
Well, it'll be soon, regardless.
Yeah. Haroon, how do you pronounce that guy's name? He's asking what are some good resources for learning how to repair guitar, or like repair and build. Books, YouTube channels, websites. Anything you know to recommend?
Yeah, watch my channel. No, like I there's lots of probably better channels than mine for getting a decent resource. Crimson Guitars is pretty good. I followed them quite a bit early on. I learned a lot there. I learned a lot from the Stu Mac guys for just novel and creative ways of repairing flaws and damage to guitars. It's always good to know little tips and tricks that sort things out. Yeah, there will be books. I generally just sort of picked it up as I went along, tried things, and did a little Google to find out the answers.
Yeah, I think I think like the general rule is just do a little bit of adjustment first and see how it reacts. Like if, let's say, you are adjusting the neck relief or something like that, like don't turn like 3 rounds or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah,
but people are scared of the truss rod and stuff like that. Because yeah, if you abuse it, you break it, and that's an absolute pain to repair. But yeah, it's a case of don't tighten it till it's extreme. Move it in little increments and see how much it moves. You don't have to move the truss rod very much to get a lot of movement in the neck. So it's always take care, do a little, and measure twice, cut once. No matter what you're doing, no matter what it is you're doing, if you're doing some modification or you're doing some adjustment, you're doing whatever, make sure you've measured it out and planned it out multiple times to make sure you're sure before you actually commit to whatever it was you were doing.
Yeah.
Once you've done it, it's difficult to go back to make sure you're accurate.
Yeah, and especially with the truss rod, like, it really depends on the guitar. Like some guitars react immediately and you notice what's happening, and but I've had guitars like it takes like 30 to 60 minutes for it to actually like the neck angle to change. Not sure why.
Comes down to the rigidity of the neck, probably.
Yeah.
More rigid neck's going to take longer time to move under tension.
Yeah, so I like in the past I made some drastic adjustments and then kind of thought that, okay, this is good, and when I came back to the guitar the next morning, it was like completely
shifted even further.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As Dave says, or Cheddar says, do only quarter turn at the time, kids.
Yeah, just little turns and see what it does. Don't go all in, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Have you done any pickups, by the way? Like, have you wound any pickups?
Oh yeah, wind pickups all the time. Pretty much. This guitar, that's my pickup. This guitar, those are my pickups. Yeah, so pretty much like a lot of the guitars that I've got, I'm playing my own pickups.
So you have a pickup winder.
Do you want to see my pickup winder? it's totally homebrew. You'll love it.
Yes, now I do.
It's absolutely low tech. I mean, it's in bits at the minute. I'll have to put it together. Give me a second.
So it's a one-man show for now.
I'm back. Hey. Just keep talking. I'll put this together on my lap here.
That looks interesting.
Yeah, it's I'll show you the component parts. Oh no, I dropped the screw. Oh no. There's a hand drill for the winding, and there's a small pocket calculator for counting. It works. I mean, it's funny, but it works. So basically, the idea of this is I just designed it myself. So you've got the hand drill. You've got this that chucks into it, which supports the bobbin. And there's a small magnet on the underside of that. So every time this turns round, it passes by a magnetic reed switch, which connects to the calculator, which increments the number up one at a time. I really need to change this over to Hall effect sensor for more accuracy. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
I could have gone with a mechanical system, but I thought, no, I like it the way it is. I like the simplicity of having created it myself.
Yeah, I think pickups might be the biggest mystery for me. Like guitar-wise, I've done all the other parts basically, but I haven't wound a single pickup. I still don't quite know about the different magnets and what they bring to the sound and so on.
Would you like to ask me a question since I'm here?
Yes.
Okay, so
tell me about magnets.
What magnets would you like to talk about? I'm a big fan of Alnico magnets.
Mm-hmm.
They're an iron with aluminium, nickel, and cobalt. Alnico. So that's where the name comes from. Aluminium, nickel, cobalt. Those are the three elements, along with the iron, that give it the distinct magnetic properties. And your different numbers of Alnico, you'll get Alnico 2, 3, 5, 8, etc. 4. There's Alnico 4. That all comes down to the different percentages of the aluminium, nickel, and cobalt that's mixed in with. So slightly different variations of the different elements will give you different magnetic properties of the material. I personally use Alnico 8 magnets in the bridge humbuckers that I wind. I wind them to 10K DC resistance, and that just seems to be a wonderful combination. The Alnico 8s were what was used in the Super 70 Ibanez humbuckers that are in that Flying V that I've got from the 70s, and those were the pickups that Eddie Van Halen ripped out and put in his Frankenstrat, and that was all over the first Van Halen album. And that's the Alnico 8 magnets. They're just a bit more powerful, and they've got a bit more character, but they're not like a ceramic magnet, which is powerful, but for me lacks the character.
Actually, another thing about, I haven't heard that much about Alnico 8s. I guess the Alnico 5 or 4 are like most.
Alnico 5, 3, and 2 are usually your most common. You'll usually find like Alnico 5s are your more modern magnet, and for your vintage pickups, your vintage Strat pickups, it's Alnico 2s, maybe Alnico 3s. Alnico 8s are pretty rare when it comes to things, but they have been used, as I say, in the old Ibanez things. They were supposed to be like the Gibson PAF, but hotter, and the magnet was a big part of that. So, but it's my secret sauce for my pickups. That's what I like.
Yeah, like 10K resistance sounds actually like, it's not. I usually like really low output pickups because I can dial up the gain, but I think 10K is might be the sweet spot, like between high gain, and at least it sounds like that to me.
Yeah, that's what I find with them, because there's this misconception that DC resistance equals output, and that's true to a certain degree. Up to a point, the more copper you've got on there, the hotter the pickup's going to be. But when you get once you get so many winds on there, you start to get an inductance problem. The more turns you get, the more inductance you've got, and that starts to fight against your output. So you're trying to add more output by adding more copper, but that adds more inductance, which brings the output back down again. So what you end up with is not a hotter pickup. You're just limiting the high-end frequency response. And you know that high-end frequency response relates quite well to high-gain sound. High frequencies and distortion work really well together.
Yeah.
So if you're just taking out, if you're caving out all the high end, and then you're trying to have a high output pickup for high gain sound, you're just losing all that lovely top end, which makes it sound like it's less hot. So I don't like to wind any further than, say, 12 to 14K. I think beyond that point, it's just you're killing what you're adding.
Okay,
so 10's a nice little sweet spot for me.
Okay, that might explain like some of the pickups I've tried. Like for example, on the telly, I actually like the first bridge pickup I tried and like immediately ended up taking out was the, I think it was whatever like stacked humbucker Seymour Duncan produces for tellies, and like it was a high output, but it lacked all of the high end you associate with tellies. I just took it out like after 2 weeks or something. And that I think it was like 17K or something. So that explains a lot.
Like I've seen the bare knuckle guys are doing like 22K humbuckers, and it's like that's just, it's market pressure at the end of the day. Consumers want, consumers believe that the bigger that number, the hotter the pickup will be.
Yeah.
So the consumer wants that. Build what you can sell. Don't sell what you build. So it's like, they know it's not great, but they're building it anyway because people are buying it. It's making them money.
Yeah, sure. And like it's the same like with the cameras. Like people still look at the megapixel count, even though it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, the bigger number. So it's all about the bigger number.
It goes to 10,000. No, wait. What was the Dragon Force quote? I have like
9,000.
No, that was it. It's over 9,000. Yes,
that's the full system setup, and it's beautiful.
Oh, but wait, like how many rounds does it turn when you like do one round like this? How?
Yeah, I'll do, what's it, one, let's start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 per revolution.
So if you do like 10,000,
yeah.
It's a full day's job.
It pretty much is, yeah. And I've built more pickups on this than I care to count. But I'll get a mechanical system at some point. But I really love this thing. It's therapeutic.
Just like, I think you need to continue like that style of modification. So just get like a drill with like a battery and like somehow like adjust it to that and do it that way.
Yeah, I need an electric drill that's worked off of an old sewing machine pedal. And if you cobble it together.
Yeah. That sounds like a good video idea, I think.
Yeah, I'll build a better one, make it a video.
Yeah.
Good idea, yeah.
Suits your channel. Somebody asked, could people buy pickups from you?
My intention was always to build pickups to sell, but as you can see, my system's not very efficient for doing that. So I think I'm coming to a turning point in my career where I'll have a bit more time to do things, because the day job's bringing me down. So that maybe goes away at some point. And then I can start building pickups or winding pickups to sell commercially if people are interested. I wouldn't mind doing that. It was always part of the plan. It was sell product.
That's a damn good idea, because like, sure, you can get some money from like YouTube ads and stuff, but I think it's much more fun and much more like actual business if you do. Like I can design T-shirts, I can do pickups, you can do the pickups.
Well, we'll maybe trade a T-shirt design for a pickup at some point.
Sure, sounds like a plan.
Or maybe a T-shirt design for quite a few pickups. Like I imagine your time's more valuable than the pickup.
Well, it depends.
I'm telling all your guitars.
Well, there's 2 of them right now, so that's. Hey, we have Max here. Max.
Max.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Nice. Hello.
Hello, back from work?
Kind of.
Kind of.
So, what did I miss?
Colin's super high professional pickup
hold on, you
winder.
did miss that. You missed my winder. Hold on, you'll love this. Love this. My pickup winder.
Wow.
With a pocket calculator and a hand drill.
That's lovely.
Yeah, but it works, and I'm happy with it.
I can't imagine. I believe you. Well, I had a couple of funny jigs for building guitar as well. So
Yeah.
they normally look just like that.
It started off as an inductor winder for wah-wah pedals. That's how that started, and then I was like, no, I just some winds and pickups on it as well.
Nice.
It's beautiful. But yeah, if you want to do that more professionally, you probably need to.
Yeah. So I need to pay the money for the high-speed thing.
Yes, exactly. So Max, the other thing we've been like discussing is like what's our relationship with guitars, in the sense like, do we build ones? Do we modify? I heard some rumors that you like to modify guitars a little bit more than some other people might do.
Yeah, well, I love modifying guitars. I love doing stuff with guitars, like different kind of stuff. And I think I don't know how many guitars I have, but probably half of them I modified, and some of them I heavily modified, such as there's nothing left from the guitar other than the wood and maybe frets, if they're lucky. So yeah, that's how it all began, and then eventually I built a guitar. Well, technically I'm still building it, but I have already played a few shows with it. I had it at TGU with me,
and I missed it.
Well, you're gonna see it right now.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Here we go.
Well, isn't she lovely?
So, well, let me show you a close-up then. Alrighty. So basically, it's based on one of my guitars that I used to play for a few years, and I was satisfied with it, like maybe 95%-ish, which is, let me get it on the camera. Probably you can see it here. That's the one.
That's nice.
Yep. And my idea was to have the same guitar, but with some improvements. And this is how this happened. Wow, what is so funny?
That's well.
My personal favorite part is the Ebo holder.
Oh,
That's
I didn't even notice it right away.
utterly wonderful.
It's beautiful. So what's going on there? Like, tell us what's happening.
Well, it's easy to tell you what is not happening, because I just had another stream like a couple of weeks ago on one of my partner channels in Russia about this guitar, and then somebody just said as a joke, well, you know, it could give you Wi-Fi, and then it actually does.
What? What is that?
It's a transmitter, line 6 Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
but the wireless.
It's a wireless Wi-Fi frequency.
Damn.
That's like, geez, built right in.
It works with the older version, and with this one, I can turn it on like that. And then I also have an indication here that it's on, because I don't want to forget it.
Oh, on the kill switch.
Oh man.
In the on position. So okay, let's turn it back off. Here we go.
So there's few knobs, and then do you have like, what are the kind of stripe things?
Oh, the camera died. What thing?
Like between the two knobs, there's something.
There's 3 sliders.
Yeah, the sliders.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Okay, I better turn off the light.
Yeah, turn all the lights off.
You know, you can play with colors a little bit.
Oh shit. Oh man.
So that was the idea behind the EQ.
So is it like the RGB mixer? What's going on there?
Yeah, it is. It is. Exactly.
Damn it.
I think we need to up our game, Vlad. We've been beaten here.
We're talking about like replacing pickups, but this is next levels.
Well, I just figured out like a couple of days ago that Colin built some guitars in the past. I had no idea.
Ah, you'd never seen that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do we all have Explorer-shaped guitars?
I don't.
Oh no! As close as you got.
Yeah, this is my most metal guitar, I guess. And it's equipped with like Sheptone super high vintage pickup things. But like anytime I do a metal track, I still play with this. It works well.
It should. I think it should. I have a nice Gibson whatever something Midtown here.
You know what? So
it's pretty cool for heavy stuff as well.
You know what? I have owned one of the Gibson Midtowns, and this is something I've built myself. So this guitar is like 99%. Thanks, step up your game. I'll try it. Yeah, so this is the second guitar I've built, and it's pretty much the kind of schematics and drawings for this were exactly the Gibson Midtown custom. I own the Midtown custom, and I built this because of that. I didn't like the neck shape and like the super small frets on the Midtown custom, so I ended up building one myself.
Is that a polyurethane finish?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's the only downside of this guitar. I like the nitro finish.
Okay, but how did you do this, with spray cans or?
Actually, this is something we talked about at the beginning of the live stream. I've attended like a guitar building course, so we are actually at a place where there's a professional luthier. We can use all of his equipment and like a proper room to spray paint the guitar and all of that.
That's really cool.
So that's where this came from. And yeah, it does metal. Actually, like just for the fact that I have a setup going on where I should be able to play something, I'm gonna play like something metal on this for a few seconds. Let's see if it's in tune. Close enough. And oh man, that was bad. And that was the Rev G3 pedal going into a super clean amp, and that's about it. But yeah, it does metal if I need to.
Works fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Everyone has the ref pedal. I don't.
You know, you can use those money things to get one.
I know.
I took mine apart to make sure it wasn't magic inside it.
Right.
Yeah, I got mine. I think unfortunately, I'm not one of the first 100 cool people. I think my serial numbers was like 113 or something. I'm so sad.
No idea what mine is.
But like, it's a really cool pedal for the price and just the fact that it's probably the best high gain pedal I've tried.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like, since I don't really play metal that much, I think it's a perfect solution because I don't want to invest like 2,000 euros in a metal amp just so I can play it once per month.
Well, it sounds like I have to take a close look at that one. Sooner or later.
So any other guitars you've modified or built? Question applies to both of you, though. Colin is on the move.
Would you like to see the first guitar I built? I don't think I've shown that yet.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
please.
And it's rough as hell, but you'll love it. This. Unlike you, Vlad, I never went to any luthier or people who knew what they were doing or a workshop with any tools. So I just bought some wood and went into the garage. I bought myself a bandsaw and a plunge router, and that was maybe about it. It was maybe about the only tools I had, and some sandpaper, and constructed this.
It's beautiful.
It's, everything that needs to work works, and then the aesthetic and finish is really rough. But that's the bit that I worked on, as a case of, as long as the guitar plays, everything else is secondary, and then I worked up from that with each successive build.
When did you build this one?
2011. I've noted 11 on the headstock, so that was 2011.
That's a long time ago already.
Yeah, it is. Was it alder body, maple neck, ebony fretboard?
How long did it take to put it together? I mean, from the first
I
time you had an idea, I want a guitar, I want to build a guitar, until you actually played it for the first time.
Well, from the idea, the initial idea came when I wanted a custom instrument. So I started looking at all the custom shops where you could like order what you wanted in different brands, and it was always going to be a compromise what I wanted, what they would give, and price. And I decided at that point it just wasn't worth paying for. I would just buy some wood and do it.
I noticed that every time you want to order a guitar, most of the times, probably every time, manufacturers tend to offer something they already have, because they already have all the bodies, they already have all the necks. They just want to make little things here and there for you to customize it, so to speak. But they normally they wouldn't build an instrument from scratch, right?
No,
It's too much of a time struggle for them. So it was. I had more or less the same idea when I came with this realization. I just figured, okay, well, you want to do something, just do it yourself.
I wouldn't have had the courage to like start building guitar from scratch myself, just because now I know how many tools you need to have to do that. So
I missed. How long did it actually take for you, Colin?
How long did it take? I really honestly can't remember. It was that long ago. Few months probably.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I was doing it sort of weekends and evenings, sort of. But then it was in the garage, and the garage had no temperature controlling devices in it, and it's Scotland and it's freezing and the winter, so tools are frozen. You got to wait until the warmer day in the year to build anything.
Yeah, we actually had the same issue at the guitar building course, because the place where we worked was about 30-35 minutes from where I lived at the time. And during the winter time, it could be minus like 25 Celsius. And
bloody hell.
If we couldn't, just because there was like 10 of us at the guitar building course, like we couldn't store anything at the luthier's place, because rest of the days he actually needs to work there. So we had to take everything with us every time. And sometimes my car would be like minus 25 Celsius when I went back home, because we were working there for 3 hours. And like, it was slightly dangerous, because like I had just like glued the body, and then I'm taking it super cold. Somehow they survived, but yeah. Hey, we have Henning here.
We have Henning. Hello, Henning.
Hello.
Hi, Henning. And actually, the funniest reaction on this guitar I had from Henning, because he literally said, "I need medical help."
What? Yeah, it's not like he owns any crazy looking guitars or shirts or anything like that.
He didn't play it though yet.
He should have.
Sorry, I'm picking up more instruments.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is one that if anyone's who watches the channel probably recognizes. I play this quite a lot. This is my beautiful blonde, ash and maple, and with the ammonite fossil inlay, which is a staple on the builds. Because why have like modern shell when you can have 150 million year old shell? And like the guitar.
That's true,
right?
Yeah. On the maple neck, is it like one piece maple neck, or is it like a separate fretboard?
Separate fretboard, yeah. So it's one piece on the back with a laminate fretboard.
Heavy heel.
Oh, hey.
Hello there. Yes. Wait, hello there.
I get several messages from my friends today saying like Brian Wampler had some video about people or like guitarists making mistakes at live gigs or something like that, and he started his video with "Well, hello there," like everybody else. Maybe I should send him a copyright claim.
Colin, what kind of finish is that on your guitars?
It's tongue oil. So that's what I use. Rather than going through the process of having to spray coat and wait for a coat to dry, sand it back, do all that, and because I didn't have the climate controlled and moisture controlled environment to do it in properly, it would have turned out disaster. I thought oil finishes plus look good on camera because you don't get any of the reflection from the high gloss.
Right.
And they look very sort of old and rustic very quickly. And I thought that's a good process to get an oil finish. Hard. It's waterproof and protective and all the rest of it, but it just looks, I don't know, looks kind of nice to me. I like the feel of it.
Yeah. After build.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. So after building this, to like on both guitars, I tried to be pretty careful with like how thick the lacquer layer actually is, because now when I pick up most of the guitars, it feels like they feel kind of dead to me because there's so much lacquer on them. Even like at TGU, like super high-end PRSs, they're really beautiful, but they feel weird to me because there's so much lacquer on them. I'm not used to that, and I think the fact that you have like almost matte finishes and you don't have as much reflection issues, that's pretty genius, because this is a freaking mirror when you start turning it around.
Yeah.
You can see
and even this one, if you get it just right, I can reflect light off of it. Because I think there's a shellac layer on before the oil.
That's oil as well.
Yeah, that's oil as well.
Cool.
That's all oil finish.
I decided to go for oil on this one because I figured I would not be able to spray can it really, because I don't have a place for that. So I'll be going for black stain and some oil. I don't know what it is. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I opted for the tongue oil because it's a natural tree oil rather than anything synthetic. So
looks like that shit. I don't know what it is.
Oh, not my language. I can't read.
Something
oil at the end. That's all I know.
I think I might have finished the neck on my. I don't remember what the oil was called, but I think the neck on my telly is finished with that, because it's some oil you apply on the woods, and I'm pretty sure somebody's going to make a joke out of that.
I've looked at other sort of oils as well, sort of linseed oil and true oil, and I've just never been. I bought myself lots of tongue oil right at the start. I'm still working through it, and I've had good results with this, so I've never thought to go any further. Although I'd like to do like a beeswax, like a wax finish. And I don't know, almost like a French polishing sort of thing. Do you want to try that at some point?
I've been thinking about attending the guitar building course again. Like, one of the facts that is holding me back is that it's actually pretty expensive. Like with the black one, I think the price when you count in all the materials, the hardware, plus all the money I paid for the course itself, it was like 1.1K or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that cheap. It's fun. And if I would be, instead of guitars, I would be into cars or something, that would be nothing money-wise. But yeah.
It's definitely harder to build a car from scratch than a guitar.
Haven't tried that, but probably you're right. Yeah, I would love to build probably like a baritone jazz master with some like wide range humbuckers or something like that.
I thought we were still speaking about cars. I just imagined the baritone car with humbuckers.
I think they have those in the US and they're called like Lincolns or something like that. Like
Old nice Thunderbird.
Yes.
1964, yeah.
Baritone car.
Yes.
Just looking at Steph's comment about the pendant there. Extra virgin olive oil. Finished it. Nicely done.
Have you guys ever bought a guitar that you have like sanded some of the finish off or anything like that?
Oh, let me think.
Yeah.
He's looking at all of his guitars and trying to decide which one to pick.
There's something I can pick up, and I should probably do it. I went through a process. I found an Aria Pro Sound 2. Can't remember the exact model of it, but it had a black finish, but it was beaten up and really badly damaged. And one of my friends had the same guitar when he was a lot younger, and he had it in a trans sort of red finish. So I stripped the black paint off of that guitar and then refinished it with a red stain and then lacquered it. So I have done that process of taking paint off and then applying a new finish.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. It was good fun, though.
Yeah. I didn't have much to do with finishes yet.
Yeah.
I'm more like, changing tremolos and stuff. Like here, for example, this one had a color tremolo, a really bad one. So I started to, make a hole with a rod. And now it actually works. Better than ever. And it has a proper tremolo, which also works. And my funny switching system, which I like.
Which is, what is your funny switching system?
I like the idea.
This one, basically, okay, let me zoom it in a little. So this one selects the coil. So this coil, or this one, or together.
Okay.
This one goes like, puts them in series as they are right now as a normal humbucker, or in parallel. So I have two single coils. And if we go back to my regular guitar, oh shit! Well, I have to put them somewhere. Crap! Too many guitars. Here, stay like that. I have the same thing on both pickups right here. It really makes sense with P rails because you have P90 and single coil in one. I go for a single coil, but if I need some extra push, I just go to P90. It basically works the same way as a normal pickup switch, right? So you have the coil closer to the bridge on this side and the other one on the other side.
I'm sure it all makes sense to you. I think I'm lost already on all of the options.
I stripped out a whole bunch of electronics like this from a guitar at one point. It was a very creative wiring system, and I just decided to get rid of it. But I have done sort of things with those pickups like that before. Something like
Ooh.
Have you seen this Notorious series?
No, but I think I've seen like recommendations to watch those.
Yeah, this is a long running series that's not been finished. That's been going for years, and people, yeah, I just know the time. But this was a big modification project, taking a guitar and making it shred. And part of the switching system there was similar, in phase and out of phase pickups, with the middle position being pickup off. But then there was coiled, there was tapped single coils originally and stuff like that. But these are new pickups that are in here. Recessed the bridge. Obviously, the paint job's new. Scalloped frets. Took the paint off the back of the neck. Recessed the heel joint for access. And it needs a few more bits to finish the project, but
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks kind of fancy for camera.
Is that the original tremolo there?
That is the original tremolo. It's the Kahler Flyer.
I can imagine it's a disaster, isn't it?
I think if I replace the springs, it'll be okay. I bought new springs for the system. It's not bad, to be honest.
Oh, is it the one that kind of it's like not routed that deeply? It just kind of
there's two springs on the underside of it, and it just sort of pivots about this axis here.
Yeah, it's almost like works like what's the Bigsby type of thing, which kind of just rotates.
Yeah, it just rotates around itself, and it doesn't really do that Floyd quiver thing. You can't slap it and it just warbles. It just returns back to zero and stops.
Yeah, that's what I had on that red guitar, and it's been so bad that it actually killed the sustain a lot and the sound. And when I swapped the tremolo, I was really surprised how much sound does this guitar actually have. Now I'm really happy with it. 'Cause I didn't play it for like 10 years since I moved to Germany. I gave it to a friend for a couple of years, and then it was just, and he closed it for another couple of years. And then I thought, okay, well, I need a travel guitar. So which one am I gonna, sacrifice for that? So I just taken that one, made a hole in it, put a tremolo, and whoa, it's a cool guitar. Now, if I need to go anywhere, I just take it apart, put it in the suitcase, and go. Whatever happens with it, I can put it back together. Now I have the skills.
Good plan.
Yeah. Excuse me.
But yeah, talking about color tremolos, I have another hammer blades with color in it, and I could never make it work really. I mean, it works sometimes when you dive, playing dive bombs like that. Yeah, but as soon as you go up, it goes out of tune. So it didn't work for me.
Yeah, this one seems fine. As I say, I think the springs are a bit stretched. I suppose would be what's wrong. So it sort of stays in tune most of the time, but sometimes just doesn't return back to where it should be.
Exactly.
I think it's purely just the springs in the back aren't holding their appropriate tension.
You maybe need some oiling or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a once over.
I don't really believe in those tremolos with with an axis. I mean, this works better with knives, like Edge or Floyd. All right.
I have traumatic experiences with all of the Floyds and stuff, so I just avoid them nowadays.
I'm mostly the same. I don't really go anywhere near them.
Yeah.
Block them up. That's the best thing you can do with them.
Yeah, I think for me it's just like I don't know how to play them. I guess like the music I mostly play doesn't benefit from that in any way, and the guitars I have stay in tune enough, so I don't need like the double locking nut thing or anything like that. And just trying out the Friedman Cali, I think it's called, at TGU, and not being able to tune it properly because the nut was locked, and I kind of like on the bridge I ran out of like.
Was it in the amp room? I think I played that guitar too in one of the videos.
The kind of lime green one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it sounded good, but I couldn't tune it like as accurately as I like to, just because I'm guessing the temperature in the room just changes so much all the time, and especially with all the lights and everything, it's usually pretty hot, and then somebody opens the door and then it's cold again.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing though with that guitar, that one, because it's not finished yet. It's just raw wood, and I expected it to react on any weather change dramatically, but for some reason it doesn't. It just stays in tune like forever already. I mean, even though it's not finished yet.
I guess it depends how old is the wood, or like how well it's dried.
I guess so. But I have no idea where it comes from, so I can't really tell.
Yeah, living in Finland, it's always the test on kind of the build quality, or like how well the company that's built the guitar has actually like spent time drying the woods, because we get huge temperature changes and especially humidity changes over the course of a year. So pretty much every guitar I've bought go through a process of like 1 year when they go through all of the seasons, and pretty much all of them have needed like sanding of the fret ends and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's one exception, and that is my Taylor Acoustic, and I think it's because it's a Canadian company. They probably have like a similar weather. That might be like, that's the only reason I think it's been different. But otherwise, every single instrument has to go through that.
So it's just the wood contracts or the metal expansion just left with the sharp edges.
Yeah. And the neck usually needs a lot of adjustment over the seasons.
Mm.
And again, like the temperature, like yesterday it was like +8 degrees, and today it's +25 or something. So
Wow.
So it changes a lot.
We have constant like 25, 28 over like the past couple of weeks. How about you, Colin?
I don't know. I don't take a notice of it.
You don't go outside.
I don't. That's genuine. That's it. I don't go outside.
Chill in the cave.
I'll explode into fire if I go out in the sun. Oh, a good idea.
Oh man. So any like projects, like mod or building projects you guys want to do in the near future?
Oh hell yeah! I've got some ideas that have been in my head for years. In some cases I've collected the parts to do it, and other cases not. There's two main projects I wanted to do after I got the Will It Shred thing done and dusted. The first one was I wanted to build a double neck guitar out of two individual guitars. So in case of just like sort of saw the ends off of both of them and glue them together and make it, So I had two black Strat copies, one left-handed, one right-handed. So you would get the two headstocks that would face each other. And then the idea was just going to be like slice parts off the body so that you could like glue them together and form this double neck guitar. Because I thought that'd be a really interesting video to do, and the design process and how you'd make two guitars, like Siamese twin them into one. That was a good one.
Sure.
The other idea I had was I wanted to take an electric guitar and modify it to work with nylon strings. So you had an electric nylon string guitar on an electric guitar format.
But you're gonna need piezo for that, right?
Yeah. So like a piezo pickup, and it would look really sick because you'd have a plain pickguard with no pickups in it, no magnetic pickups, and that would just look really weird and really rad. So yeah,
Yeah, I also have
Varix, like one of the old Varix guitars, right? Because I think they didn't have.
Oh yeah, Varix did like a thing like that. Yeah.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I have done a video where I have the Epiphone ukulele, which obviously has like nylon or plastic strings, whatever they're made up from. And it has, I guess it's a magnetic pickup. So I did a cover of Slither by Velvet Revolver, because it's a Les Paul shaped Epiphone ukulele. I just had to do it. And I played it through like a Marshall type guitar amp, and only when I actually like plugged it in, I realized, okay, because these strings aren't metal, it's not grounded, so it hums like crazy. I had to do a lot of kind of post editing to cut out every buzzing thing that's happening. But that would be a lesson for people as well if you do that.
It sounds like the kind of thing you'd have to, to consider. And it's also a good process. I like doing videos on these things because you learn the lessons as you go along, and you make the mistakes, and then it's like, oh, this mistake happened. This is how I'm going to go through the thought process to solve it. Because building and modifying guitars is as much about correcting your mistakes as it is getting it right, and that's what makes you a better luthier is knowing how to correct any mistakes that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think just getting into like basic setup and repairs and troubleshooting will help you a lot when you are in a gig situation. Like, again, when we started this live stream, I mentioned that I have friends, and probably all of us have friends, like they might change the strings on the guitar themselves, but anything else they do, they will take the guitar to a luthier. And let's say you go to a gig, and while kind of traveling with the guitar, like the neck relief changes or anything like that, you'll be lost when you arrive to the place where you're supposed to play.
Yeah, exactly. Which I cannot understand. I mean, it's your instrument. It's not that complicated. There are like just a couple of screws there, and just use your common sense. And
yeah.
It's surprising how simple an electric guitar is when you break it down.
It is.
There's very little to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
like
nobody expects you to, just as Colin does, to build pickups or stuff like that. But to take a screwdriver and raise them or lower them, that's so easy.
But again, I think it's always like, I guess people like, some people scare like not less experienced guys, like if you turn the neck, or like if you try to adjust the neck angle, you might break the whole thing easily. And like, you actually have to be pretty extreme to like actually break it, and doing it in small increments is fine. But on the other hand, I think I got better at all of this stuff because somebody showed me how to do it, and a lot of people don't have that, I guess.
Well, I didn't have that, and I still managed.
Well, you're special.
I just did appropriate research and looked for the knowledge before jumping in, and that's what I would advise to anyone. Is a case of before you jump in with both feet, spend some time, maybe spend a couple of weeks researching it. Go online, check some stuff out, watch the videos, read the articles, read the books, and then once you've felt you've got enough knowledge, that's when you jump. And you just buy the tools and you go on with it.
I agree on that, absolutely. Because, well, even with this guitar, I spent so much time on YouTube, actually watching videos, how people do this, how people build jigs. Because I had no idea that actually, well, you spend sometimes more time building the jig than actually doing the holes in the guitar. And now that I'm slowly coming to finish it, I watched a lot of stuff on Finnish, and I came to the point that I have to use oil. It's really cool. I mean, if I would just go and buy a couple of spray cans, I would totally ruin the project, which I don't want.
Yeah.
I routed the sides on this, like, because the only jig we had was for the ES335, and this is much smaller body than that. I actually routed the sides, which are hollow, by hand, and man, that was scary, because like one slip and you could go out from one place and there would be like an extra hole somewhere away, which would be it would be special. You could like hide stuff in there, but
I know exactly what you're talking about. I had a couple of strange, unexpected moves, which I had to fix later.
Oh yeah, actually, I have something like that on my telly as well, but it's like underneath the kind of the control plate. So to demonstrate that, I would have to take it off, and I'm too lazy to do it right now. So we can just imagine that there was something that happened that was made by a guy who didn't know what he was doing.
It's very easy just to make the mistake. You just need to take your attention away from it for 1 minute. You know, there's been a few points where I've drilled a hole in the wrong place, and it's the most frustrating thing because just you think you've got it, you think you've got everything aligned, and you start drilling holes, and you go, "Oh no, that wasn't aligned."
Speaking of which, do you notice something about the dots on this one? Try to guess what happened.
That's brilliant.
And that's a design feature. It makes it unique.
Yeah, it's unique, but not by design. I think I was just drilling the holes. I was like, oh, this looks good, and then wait a second, where's the 12?
Should have just got a third one.
Exactly. That's what I said there.
You know what we're knowing.
No. A lot of people suggested that, but I thought it would be too much. This is more special, like this.
Put the black hole in the middle, and then 2 bright dots on the sides. That would be really cool.
Yeah, next time.
I wish I don't have any pictures or anything to hand. A guitar I built for my friend. He wanted a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon inlay, and I decided to do it in agate, which is a quartz crystal rock.
Oh,
so it's colored quartz. So I had to buy a whole bunch of diamond coated files and diamond sandpaper and stuff to deal with this inlay and get it fitted out. But it looked pretty cool towards the end of it.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It was a hell of a lot of work, yeah. I'll never do it again, but it looks sick on the guitar.
Or you can do it, but you just need to charge a lot for that.
A lot of money, yeah. Yeah. That guitar turned out great. That's the best one I've ever built. And it doesn't even belong to me, so.
In the beginning of this, I figured I don't want to bother with inlays, so I just had a really simple dots. Well, I mean, it would be way harder to put LEDs onto something more complicated than dots anyway.
Yeah.
Where do you actually run the wiring for the inlay lights? Is it under the fretboard, or how does that work?
Well, initially I wanted to have it in such a way that I can always, if something goes wrong, that I can open it and change it. So, and therefore I have a channel right here between the fretboard and the neck. This is just a black plastic inlay, which is their 2mm inlay. And if something goes wrong, I can take it off, take off the dot, put another LED in, solder it, and put it back together like that, and send it flush.
So is it not fiber optics you're using for that? It's actually LEDs.
Yeah, those are like real LEDs, 5mm LEDs. They're really big RGB LEDs, and that's why the fretboard is so thick. It's like 7mm.
Oh, that's true. Now that you say it.
Yeah, I had to decide whether I put LEDs into the neck or into the fretboard. And I went for the fretboard because that's easier to fix later. So the fretboard must have been really thicker, like a couple of millimeters thicker than it normally would be. And well, it is what it is. It works.
That's
then,
absolutely nuts.
It goes into the headstock right here. Oops, something just fell down. And then in the headstock, I have another channel routed somewhere here, which goes to the tip. There is more shit in it. There's another hole there, and well, I don't know if I can actually show it. I'll try. Let me check that out. Yeah, that would work.
What?
Oh, okay.
Okay, what is that?
Well,
a metal detector?
Yes, metal. Oh, it's the same thing here.
You've got your own laser show built into the guitar.
Oh yeah, you can see it right on my face, right?
It's lasers.
Right now. How do I?
That's
What you now need is a vape machine to blow the vape cloud so you can see the laser beams traveling through it.
oh yes, exactly. That would be beautiful.
Or I can turn this down. Yeah. I have a few more. Here. Ah, the batteries died. Batteries low.
What are you powering it from, battery-wise?
I have 2 batteries in the back. So one for the light and another one for the sound.
Max Guitars, light and sound.
Yeah, so I think
So that's just 9-volt standard 9-volt batteries, right?
yeah, we are. Here we go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
One for the light, another one for the sound, and this is for the wireless. For this, because if I want to swap the batteries, I don't want to take these off
Yeah, sure.
the body and stuff like that. So I just swap batteries here, and we're good to go.
Dave says that if Gibson had guys like us, the company would be saved. I think it's exactly the opposite.
Yes, I think so too. They would go bankrupt because we have way too many sick ideas, right?
Colin would wind pickups with his thing.
They've never get enough guitars out. They never have enough pickups ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there would always be like inconsistent amount of like dots or inlays on fretboard when I'm working on those.
Guitars with character.
Yeah. How do you say? It is called acute inconsistency.
Yes. Every guitar is a unique snowflake.
Right. Yes. So I guess what else I wanted to mention here, this is a GraphTech tremolo, which means there's piezo in it, piezo pickups, and I can switch between magnetic and piezos right here. And
Damn.
I use it pretty often because I often need to play shows where I have to switch from acoustic to electric real quick, and I just have an impulse response player where I can use acoustic impulse, so to speak. So I go to piezo pickups and acoustic impulse, and it sounds really cool, like real acoustic guitar. And a kill switch, which I like. It also turns on the lights.
Got the illuminated kill switch on there as well. Is there a cable about? I'll plug it in. I'll light up.
Oh yeah,
That shows up there, but it's kind of white.
That's the same kind of button, right? That I have.
Yeah.
I actually had to modify the button because they only come as SPDT, and I needed double pull. So I bought 2 buttons. I opened them and just put them together. And
wow.
It took me like a hell of a lot of time. I think like 5 hours or something because I didn't want to work. And then it worked, but one part didn't work, and then another part didn't work. So it took me a hell of a lot of time. I'm still not really satisfied because still sometimes it doesn't really want to work. But at some point, I just may want to, order another one from China or something.
Aren't the switches like sealed? Are they not like I can't remember if they're wax potted or they're just plastic sealed. How did you get inside them?
No, there are a couple of things there. You can open it easily. It's not completely sealed. You can open it up to some point. I mean, there is the final plastic part, which is inside of the metal enclosure. I didn't figure out how to take that out, but everything else you can pretty much take out of the knob and do something with that.
Sorry, I'm completely distracted. One of our cats is hungry and she's sitting like over there and shouts at me.
Okay.
I think she'll manage for a while.
Oh yeah. Colin, what was when you first built your guitar? What was the trigger? Why?
It purely was because I was looking for a custom instrument, and I didn't like the idea of having to pay lots of money for something that wasn't what I wanted. Because ultimately, it wasn't those things I wanted that other builders wouldn't.
Yeah, the thing we talked about before. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it came down to a case of I was going to build a kit, and then I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to buy some wood. I went totally the other end. To be honest, what I started out doing was the bassist in my band at the time. He was like, "You are building me a guitar," and I was like, "Okay." And I'd never done anything before. But what he did is he bought a bass body and a bass neck, and it was a case of, right, you're going to carve a design into this body, and then we're going to finish it, and you're going to set it up and put pickups in it and write a new pickup cavity and do all that. And he just went the case of, I will buy you the tools if you do this for me.
Wow, that's really cool.
So that's actually what started it. And we carved a dragon into the guitar, and it had a big glow up light and see-through pick guard and all this sort of stuff. And
cool.
Yeah, it turned out pretty cool.
Speaking of tools, what would be your opinion on what tools are essential? I mean, what's the minimum set of tools you need to accomplish something with as least pain as possible?
Right. Well, for me, I had a very minimalist set of tools. I was working with a bandsaw. I got a bandsaw because I wanted to cut things. I mean, you could cut things with a jigsaw, but I preferred to move the workpiece rather than moving the saw.
Yeah.
So I got the bandsaw, just a small one, and plunge router, a few rasps and files, spoke shave and surf form for forming the neck. Then after that, it was just the specialist tools for fret work and slotting nuts and that sort of thing. But really, when it came to actually the woodwork part, it was, when I started out, it was bandsaw and files and rasps and a router. And that I could do pretty much everything with that to some degree. And if I'd taken a lot more time, a lot more care, with a lot more knowledge, it would have turned out a lot better than the rough thing that I got out of it. Because I was working with basically the same minimalist tools when I was putting together something like the Bloodbound, which came out really nice.
It looks nice.
Yeah. Yep, it does.
Riley's asking how much you would charge for the pickup.
Email me. I'll have a think about that. How much it would cost me on my time on the system, and I'll get back to you on that one if you send me an email. Yeah.
And Dave is asking if any of or probably Colin, your guitars if there's like any of your guitars at trade shows.
No, to be honest, of all the guitars I've built, I've probably got about 60% of them here with me. It's only been a handful that I've built, and the other ones are with close friends who I built them for. So there's nothing that's available for taking to trade shows, unfortunately. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah. You'll start with the pickups and move on to guitars.
Yeah, maybe the pickups will arrive at the trade shows, and then the rest of the guitar can come a few years down the line.
That's a slightly longer delivery time.
Yeah. You get the pickups first, then a few of the screws. Just ship it to you in parts.
And then kind of IKEA style instructions to put it together. Like first, there's the guy like says, and then the second page is all. I actually quite like that idea. Maybe I'll start building guitars as kits and selling them as IKEA kits. That's not a bad notion. I know some of the luthiers, at least here in Finland, do that. Like you can order basically parts that you can put together.
It's slowly but surely becomes fashionable, because I hear such concepts from all over the place, from different countries.
Well, I think, what's it called? Walmart? How do you pronounce that? They've been around for a while.
Yep.
Like I remember them from like 10 years ago at least, and probably longer than that.
Well, I'll tell you what. From after spending so much time on this one, I'm pretty sure I'm never doing this again from scratch. Well, I'll tell you what, the next guitar project will be. It was supposed to be a TGU because the GuitarGeek and I we've decided to take 2 Harley Benton kits and put them together. Make a competition who does that quicker. But the condition is you only have 1 screwdriver, so you have to pass it over every time you. So I came up with the idea. He came up with the conditions, and we are still looking forward to do this someday.
That's a damn good idea. Actually, there's a question like if one of us is considering like a video series about building guitar. You know, if I do attend another guitar building course, if it's okay with other people that are at the course, I'll do something like that. Maybe not like super detailed, but like kind of documenting the whole process into one long video, perhaps, or like few videos. We'll see.
Where is this happening? The course, is it in Finland?
Yeah, there's like we have a bunch of luthiers who like make some of their living by having those courses because you can get like 10 people.
Okay.
There and.
But at the end of each course, you have a guitar, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Most of a guitar.
Most of the guitar. Yeah, with the telly, it actually took me 2 years. So it was like 2 courses.
Okay.
So kind of needs some consistency in the sense like if the guy decides to stop the course in the middle of your build, you'll have like half of the guitar.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Schecter started with guitar parts in 70s. Yeah, makes sense.
You can go places with that.
Yeah, especially like with bolt-ons. It's actually like there was a point where I almost ordered a warmer guitar just because I could get the finish and kind of all of the woods and looks that I wanted. But then when I looked at the final price, I was like, no. Especially shipping that stuff to Finland, shipping costs a lot, and then you need to pay the VAT and import taxes, and suddenly it was a price of a high-end Ibanez.
Just pretty much like everywhere in Europe. Like when I moved to Germany 10 years ago, I figured it was cheaper for me to buy things in the States and pay shipping and pay VAT and stuff like that, rather than buying them here in the stores. And I ended up buying a lot of pickups, a lot of strap locks, a lot of even picks in the States rather than here. But actually, it's changed. It got changed like the last 3-4 years. Something happened, so it's no longer. It doesn't make sense any longer to buy stuff there. For some reason.
I think nowadays it might be, if you have somebody living in the States, it might be easier for you to buy something there, ship it to that person, and that person will ship it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still the customs will charge you here.
Yeah.
At least in Germany they do, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe they just like my postages. Every time I'm getting anything, they are very strict. They want to see me in their office every time.
Really?
Any postage from anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, but based on the amount of LEDs and batteries you're ordering, I think I get where they're coming from.
And every time it's like, so what's inside? Guitar pedal? Okay, what guitar pedal? Well, you don't know. It's from a manufacturer nobody knows. Okay, what's its price? $20. No, we don't believe you. It's gonna be, let's say, 200. So you have to pay all the taxes. No, but it's marked as a gift. Doesn't matter.
Oh man,
that's how we do it in Germany.
Efficiency.
Negotiate. Riley has emailed you, Colin. So
thanks, Riley. I'll look into it and get back to you. Let me do something special, one-off for you.
And if you do a video about it,
was that next?
A surprise pickup.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first pickup in the world that's like 35k resistance and
Colin, what's that thing in the headstock? Some inlay kind of thing on the
Yeah,
other
so
side.
CS Guitars, little pin badge medallion thing. Don't know if the camera's picking up very well.
Is it somehow lacquered on top, or?
Yeah, it's an enamel pin badge essentially.
That's
Okay,
cool.
interesting.
It's an enamel pin badge. I snap the pin off and then inlaid as a sort of like medallion.
I tried to do something like that, with not much success though. I'll show what I mean. That
Oh,
thing there.
What's that?
It's a seal of Texas.
As one has on their guitars, obviously.
But it's somehow, it's not on the surface. It's deeper there. It's like there is a hole, like 2 or 3 millimeters deep, and then there's a piece of metal with a engraving on it, and then there's an epoxy on top. And the epoxy part didn't really work out the way I wanted, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, mine is purely just the enamel badge dropped in, so there's nothing on top of it. It's you can touch the the metal.
Since we're talking headstocks, mine is just a regular, like, is it abalone? Whatever you use on,
Yeah.
it's that same material.
How do you do that with the Dremel?
Little jeweler's saw.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you need to sand it like crazy and try not to break it, because it's also a pretty fragile material. I think it. Now that I look at it,
going to work for me.
Yeah, I think I've glued the V back together from 3 different parts. And yeah. And then also, like, kind of putting it into the headstock was a lot of work as well. I had to create a lot of like ebony. You basically, like, I created the inlay first. Then I would kind of draw the outlines and would drill, like, use a super small drill and kind of carve out the space around it. And once,
So
and
that was my question: how to make the hole in the headstock for that?
yeah, like a super small drill, pretty much. And then I would kind of put in the inlay itself, and there's a, like, you can't see it, but there's like an ebony veneer, or like actually like a piece of ebony on top of the mahogany neck. And we would use that same ebony and like sand it, so we would have a bunch of like ebony dust, and we would mix it with glue.
Oh yeah,
and we would put it all around here, and then I would like sand it and level it
to cover the holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Vlad,
once,
did you use anything like that's a Dremel router mount, so the Dremel just threads into there, and you can use a very fine Dremel.
well, yes, something like that. I can't quite remember anymore. Actually, it's been a couple of years now, so yeah, but something like that. It was like, sometimes I'm thinking whether it was worth it. Like, the amount of time I spent on this, instead of I could have spent the same time like finishing the frets or something like that. Because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, when I was building this, something happened. And when I was gluing the fretboard, like, something that I used to kind of pressure it against the neck, something over there moved. So the actual fretboard is like few millimeters, like too much close to the body. So I have like an extra special wide nut over here. It's like twice the size of a normal nut, even like 3 times the size.
I saw that, and my first question would be, how does it affect the tuning?
It's fine.
I assume as long as the strings are only touching the front edge, it won't matter how much material is behind it.
Yeah.
Because you still have the 3+3 tuners, and there is some binding at the nut. So I can imagine there is quite a lot of friction there.
I don't know. It's a bone nut, so it's not that bad. I think most of the tuning issues I'm having with this one are actually like some of the like the nut slots might need a little bit of work, and also some of the threads need to be checked as well because of the not the climate change, but like, well, we get, as I mentioned, we get different weather a lot and different temperature and humidity changes, so the threads need to be checked as well. I think the second thread over here is a bit too high, and that causes most of the tuning issues. And plus, it's a Gibson style guitar, so there's always a little bit of tuning stuff, because this is like a really traditionally built one. Actually, it's basically like an ES335 type body, but otherwise it's an SG. Like the neck angle and everything is actually SG. So it's a fun guitar that still needs a bit of work to be perfect.
The finish looks fantastic on that one.
On video it does, but if you would look close, like over here, it's not like, I was lazy sanding the lacquer, so it, like, if you could, I don't know, I probably can't show it to you, but it's slightly uneven. It's something like only the person who is actually like holding this guitar like this would notice. So that's why it's a perfect YouTube guitar. Like, it looks really pretty like this
on the video. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my trick too. Yeah, they look great on video. Just don't get too close to them.
Exactly. But this is also like, this is the lightest mahogany guitar I've ever had or played. I have no idea why, but even when I was building this, it immediately felt super light. And actually, the body and the neck are all from the same piece of mahogany, which is kind of cool. The luthier happened to have one piece of mahogany that he sold to me, and yeah, it's a light guitar. It's actually almost a little bit neck heavy because of how light it is. My telly is much more heavy than this one. Oh, hi, Sean.
Hey.
Yeah, the G string on these scale guitars, you'll get used to it. And yes, climate change is real.
Climate change is real. Yeah, it is. You know what happened 10 years ago? I moved to Germany, and I've been here a few times before, and I've noticed that there was no snow in winter. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a nice place to move to. And, after I moved the first year, it started to snow every winter since. So now we have, it goes sometimes down to -17 here in Berlin, which is crazy, with some snow from time to time. So Los Angeles, here I come.
Colin, you got a question.
Oh, having a wound G string. I don't know. I prefer a wound G string when it's heavier gauge strings. For example, this one right now. Yeah, the Bloodbound currently has these bottom 4 strings are all wound, and it's the only top 2 that are unwound. And that's because this is actually a 7-string set that I've thrown away the topmost string.
Oh.
Yeah, because with the manufacturer strings that I'm using, that's the only way to get that wound G. It's a tension thing. I find that when an unwound string gets this thick, it's kind of like too much tension on it, and it doesn't sound right. It never seems to stay in tune right. It's just horrible to try and use and bend. Whereas because the core is thinner in this, and then the winding makes up the rest of the thickness, it just doesn't, the perceived tension isn't the same. It feels easier to use and easier to play with. And it doesn't have that weird sort of difficulty staying in tune thing that the unwound G strings of that thickness have. Because that thickness of string would be wound on a set of 9s, for example. It would just be the next string over. So it doesn't make sense to me to have that same thickness of string as unwound. Just give me the wound version. Rotosound do wound strings when it gets to that thickness. They don't make a thicker plain string.
Yeah, I've tried a set of strings once with a wound G string, and I just like maybe it was just that set, but like I had trouble like bending that string. It messed up everything I did.
Really?
So yeah, so I went back to this is like I think it's 11 to 54,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
it like
possibly what I've got here.
yeah,
It's pretty.
But is that standard tuning?
yeah.
Yeah, because this is dropped. So maybe that's the difference. Is that I'm using these thicker strings, but at a lower tension essentially. But I always found that the wound string was much easier to use and much less hassle than that really thick unwound string.
Speaking of strings, did anyone get to do anything with rotor sound at DGU?
No.
No. I got a bunch of strings from them, and I got bass strings as well and put them on my bass, and then I realized that they were much thicker than the ones I had, and it might have revealed a slight neck adjustment issue on my bass now, because from the kind of fifth fret to the nut, there's a weird bow that doesn't happen on the rest of the neck. So I'm slightly worried. Maybe I need to take those strings off. It's a cheap Squire bass, so. But it worries me a bit.
I got one video with them, but I couldn't manage to do the second one because I had a lot of plans. Well, I'm really curious about how it's going to work. Because I actually I bought an extra piece of gear for that string test.
What is that?
You know, to measure the tension of the strings.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I need a string through body guitar for that, which I think I don't have. I probably don't.
You just have funky tremolos on every guitar.
Yeah, because I cannot play without Floyd. I mean, any guitar goes out of tune. So, I mean, I have guitars without Floyd rows, but I consider them like guitars for fun to play at home a little bit or for some recordings. But whenever I play live, it's gonna be Floyd because, first of all, I need it in tune all the time, and I need a possibility to control the aging of the strings. Because normally, if I would go 3 gigs with the same set, I would then take the string out, cut a short piece, like maybe 2 centimeters, and put it back to have the fresh part here at the tremolo, such as I know I'm not going to lose the string during the gig. And you cannot do it with any other tremolo, just with Floyd. So that's how I control the aging. And then it takes me like literally a little over a minute if I suddenly break a string to, open the top lock and release a bit, put it back, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we definitely have a different approach. Like for me, the less there is like happening. I'm a simple guy. So
I'm the same.
Actually, it's been many years since I've broken a string playing live, so I don't know if it's an actual issue I would have, but I just don't have any use for like Floyd, so.
Because you live in Finland. I had a few gigs a couple of years ago. It was really hot. It was a really small, tiny bar. I don't know, 50 people inside, 3 people band, and we played like, 3 hours. So everybody's sweating like crazy. And then I hit the next chord and I break like 3 strings at once.
Ooh.
Whoa.
That's spectacular.
Obviously, I cannot go on like this. So I had to stop and, change them all. Because normally I would just have a funny lock here. Oops. So if I close it in this position, okay, the camera is off. So I can simply lock the tremolo such as it stays in tune.
That's cool.
If suddenly I break a string,
door lock.
Yeah, something like that. It's a custom build. But yeah, basically it's a door lock, which you can adjust because there are 2 adjustment screws here.
as one has on the guitar.
Yeah, so if suddenly I break a string during the gig and I need to finish the song, I can just lock it in place and I can continue. Or otherwise, I'll need like 1.5 minutes to change it. But yeah, if you break 3 strings, then
Nothing's going to help that.
there isn't much left.
So, Haroon asks if any of us have tried building an acoustic or classical guitars. I haven't, but I've seen one girl build an acoustic, and man, that's a whole different thing.
It's an art form rather than a science in a lot of ways, and you need the big machinery to bend the wooden sides to shape. You need the forms, which are expensive. It's not something you can just, it's not something I can just rattle up with a couple of bits of wood. And then there's the whole bracing and the different ways you can brace the instrument and the different acoustic properties that gives and strengthening properties. It's beyond anything that I'd like to attempt, especially when I can just get a block of wood and bolt some strings to it and you can call it a guitar.
Yeah, that's pretty much the telly. We lost Max. He just sent me a message that his computer rebooted. That's happened. We'll see when he will get him back. But yeah, like watching her build that guitar, it was like just like you need to kind of lots of heat and everything to, how do you even call it? Like you need to bend, as you said, like you need to bend the wood and everything. It's.
Have you done any wood bending for binding or anything like that?
Well, with this, I had to do like, I think, actually, I think I managed to do it without heat because, like, I would act like the material I used to glue the binding was in Finnish. It's like is acetone or something like that, liquid. I would basically take some of the binding material and mix those together, and it created this weird paste that you could apply.
Yeah, so it's a plastic that dissolves in acetone.
Yeah.
And right. Okay.
So I would just start from here and glue a little bit, like put a lot of tape around it and move on like small piece by piece, and like at the end of it, the whole guitar was covered with tape.
Yeah.
And I had to patch it, like it doesn't stay. It's really difficult to glue, so I had to like redo some of the angles because there's a lot of tension in like these parts of the guitar. So I think I had to redo especially these parts several times. They are there now.
Yeah.
But
the binding on this is wooden binding. It's Wenge. And fun fact about Wenge, it's a bitch to bend because it splinters really, really easily. The grain, I don't know if you can see the grain here, but it's sort of lengthways. It's long stripes going like this. So if you try to bend it along that axis, that just splinters up like that.
Yeah.
So getting it around those tight corners, like around here and around here, was not the least bit fun. And that all had to be done water, wrap it in like aluminium foil and heat it with a soldering iron to get the steam to allow the wood to bend without just breaking.
Yeah, I think now that you say it, I think I actually witnessed my friend doing that. He built like an actual 335 thing, and he did like a wooden binding, and it was madness to watch.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Hello.
You're back.
All right, and I'm back online.
Yes, we were talking about binding and like doing that and how fun it is.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. You have that white binding on your guitar.
Yeah.
So how did you put it in, with acetone?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I had like a bunch of extra binding. I think the luthier actually told me to order twice the amount I needed on the actual guitar, because I actually have the same binding on the fretboard as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would create like this paste from acetone and the binding, and just start from here. Like I would put some of the paste and then glue the binding here, put lots of tape on it to hold it in place, and like move a couple of centimeters. over here and the other way around as well. And the most trouble I had was in like this area because there's a lot of tension here and the plastic is really stubborn. So I had to kind of re-glue these parts many times.
Before I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to do this, I literally believed that, you know, people use glue or something like that to put it in.
Yeah.
And I was like, acetone? Really? Wow, it actually works.
Yeah, I was surprised. And Colin was talking about like he has a wooden binding on that one.
That's crazy.
That's a Wenge binding on here. And as I was just saying, bending it round these sharp corners here and here is an absolute nightmare because the grain is lengthways to the wood. So bending it around that sharp point just splinters it directly out.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of water, wrap it in aluminium foil, heat it over a soldering iron to bend it to get the steam, and doing it that way, very carefully, very slowly. But it works, and it looks fantastic when done.
That's something I would never do because it sounds like a hell of a lot of work and like crazy work.
It was, but it was actually really fun. It was probably the most fun bit of this guitar was doing that. It was a lovely challenge.
You know what? I have a very nice Ibanez here.
Oh yeah.
It's 1070 PBC, and it has wooden binding. I mean, for the price of this guitar, I keep discovering little things here and there which are like crazy for this price.
Do you know if it's a wooden binding or is it like they just didn't
binding perhaps?
Yeah, it's like so when they paint the guitar, they actually mask the bind like that part.
Yeah, I like that idea in guitars where you just like leave the top unpainted in the side. It looks like a binding.
Right.
Huh. Yeah. It's a because
it looks like the binding, but it isn't. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still a cool guitar though.
Yeah, but it also means that it actually has like a proper top on it, not a veneer. You can't do that with veneer. Well, you can, but you will see that it's a veneer. That's like an actual top.
Yeah, even this one's a 5mm top. So I don't know whether it's a bit thick for a veneer, but it's not thick enough for like a top.
You can see where it joins the body.
Oh, that's nice.
But you were right. It's not a binding. Okay, my bad. I didn't look close enough. Yeah, it was just masked.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah,
it's a good trick though. It's a good. It looks good. It looks like a binding, but it's a really cheap way to do it.
Yep. But the fret work on this guitar is crazy. They all are rounded. This is insane. I mean, I normally would see such features on guitars for like 2,500 at least. And this one is 14 or even less. I don't know.
That's the one with the multi-laminate neck, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love the neck on that.
That's so cool.
I don't know how many pieces there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think they have like 13-piece necks nowadays or something.
11. At least 11.
It feels pretty cool too.
It's a fleeting kind of finish. It feels really smooth and really fast.
I think that's what Ibanez is aiming for with those guitars.
I wonder if that's an oil finish or something like that.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Because that is something I would like to have in my guitar, like on the whole guitar. This kind of feel where you still have open pores, but it feels like it is actually finished.
Yeah. That's what oil does, and that's what's. Let me grab that. Tell it quickly.
Yeah, on the rear of mine, you can feel all the open pore from the ash. That's very open pore wood.
Yeah, this is maple, so it's pretty hardwood, but like it feels finished, but it's still like. Actually, I need to like probably sand this a bit or something. Or is this, it also might be just my sweat. This feels a bit rougher than it should be. We got a question whether there's a difference between like left hand and right hand guitar pickups.
I wouldn't say so, because there's no way to particularly skew right or left-handedness into a pickup. The way a pickup's wound is the bobbin is just placed onto the spinning, and it spins, and then you just feed the wire on front to back. So there's no real way of left-handed or right-handedness of the coil being wound. And the magnets should be all, the only difference in the magnets is their height. If you've got a staggered pole piece, then you can change the heights depending on what string they're going to be under. So in that sense, if you had a staggered pole piece arrangement, there would be a difference based on the magnetic proximity to the strings. But in terms of the actual coils and tonal output, without talking about magnetic proximity, there's not a difference.
Yep.
I guess if you look at the pickups from the top, you could put the wire this way, clockwise or counterclockwise. Would that make a difference?
Only if you wired it differently. I mean, it would be phased different then. But if everything was wired in the same fashion, it wouldn't make a difference.
Unless you turn the magnet.
Yeah.
Around.
You flip. Yeah, if you flip the magnet, or you flip the coil. One pickup's got coils one way, and one pickup's got the coils the other way. Yeah, it's a relation to coils and magnets.
Hmm. So I guess the answer is that most likely no.
Another nice view here. It's fucked up.
Let me switch to your camera.
Higher. And now it's back on after the computer rebooted. Because suddenly everything just stopped for a few seconds and my computer rebooted, but now it all works. All right.
That's always fun.
Yeah, I just finished. Well, no, basically, I'm still technically building my live setup for live switching. And this is the first time I'm actually really testing it in a live situation. And so far, I'm really happy with how this works out.
Yeah, you recommended the switching software for me, but I've had such a crazy week that I didn't have any time to get to know it. So I was like, nah, I'll just go with this one.
I had more problems with wiring because I'm actually running a tiny cameras. Let's see if they are anywhere here. Okay, I can just take this one and go. See that thing here?
Yeah.
That's the cameras. I have 4 or 5 of them. And if you have just one, it's fine. But as soon as you put in more than 2 on the same computer, they start to fight each other. And I had a lot of problems, making them work together and like each other. And for some reason, my main camera just stopped. I don't know why. Because I just got the recorder yesterday for the HDMI to computer, whatever, to connect my Sony camera that I have at TGU, that I had at TGU, to the whole system. And it's the first time I'm actually trying it, and it worked until now.
So basically you're Henning 2.0 now with all the camera madness.
Well, somehow I got this idea at TGU more or less, because normally one video would take me at least a week to do, with all the filming involved, with all the editing. I normally would spend a couple of nights just filming, or 3 nights filming, and then 2 more nights editing, and then another night for a voiceover. And I'm like, okay, now if you want to do this on a regular basis, it's impossible. So you have to do it. You have to find another way. And I was really curious how I'm going to squeeze my videos into TGU format, and somehow I found a way on the second day, which I liked. And slowly but surely, I came to the point that if I had a live switching setup here, I could just run those reviews as a live stream, no matter how long it takes, because I can later edit it into 20 minutes. That would work. So that's the idea. I will try to begin with those maybe next week.
Sounds good.
Because I have a bunch of another camera just died. But yeah, they keep dying. Oh, it's not even here because it's not connected. Okay, the camera.
So Mark asks, does the price of the wood always directly correlate with the quality?
Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah, it's the price is usually based on the prettiness of the wood. A lot. Well, it depends on the type of wood you're getting. But when I've bought wood, it's a case of if you want, a specific grain. I mean, it's based on the grain. If you're wanting some nice grain wood or dense wood or wood without flaws in it, then you'll pay more for it. So, if you don't want knots in the wood and stuff like that, you'll pay more for a more uniform piece of wood. You'll pay more for a figuring. If you're doing a flame or a quilted maple sort of idea, then it's graded in how figured it is and how pretty that is. So you're paying for the look and the aesthetic, and you're also paying for the rarity of the wood. So certain woods are rarer than others, harder to come by, so it's more expensive per quantity of the wood. One of the things that I was looking to build with was semi-fossilized oak found in peat bogs, and it's thousands of years old. So getting the stuff is, pretty hard, but you can pull it, and you can pull it out there. It's denser wood. It's not necessarily better quality wood, but it's something that's interesting, but costs a bit of money because of what it is. So quality is a strange word to use there, because you could talk about quality in terms of just pretty aesthetics.
Yeah, it's more based on the rarity of the wood, and because all like the flame or quilt things in the maple that a lot of guitar builders like to use, it's actually like what's the word, anomaly.
Yeah, it's a lot of things like bird's eye figuring is I believe comes from insects or worms wood. So that's like, it's actually damage to the wood that causes that style of figuring. Or spalted is essentially a fungal infection in the wood. So if you see spalted maple or spalted mango or those kind of finishes, and you get those beautiful dark lines throughout of it, that's a fungus that's growing through the wood. So it's not, these are things that are actually diseases or damage to the wood, but the wood reforms around about it or grows around about it and looks pretty for having done that. So there's always the big debate of, because there's these figurations like bird's eye or flame, then the wood won't be as structurally strong as like an unfigured piece of the same material, because it's essentially unflawed if it's not getting figuring. So there's always that sort of debate going on as well. Whereas I don't feel there is a big structural difference, but it's something worth considering. What we consider to be the pretty things and the quality things are generally actually damage.
Yeah, that's just kind of surprising to learn that a while ago. Oh, hello, kitty. Are you hungry? It's dinner time for them, so she won't let me go to sleep before she gets some food, so I'll give them food at some point.
Them, how many cats do you have?
2.
Nice.
2 makes them. Feed the poor cat. I will. That one that, well, I can't get her into the shot, but like she's the fatter one anyway, so it's good for her to be on a diet a little bit. Yeah, but there's a reason why I'm called CatPick thing. We have cats.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
I like, because cats are super popular on YouTube. It immediately means that my channel will explode at some point because of the cat theme.
Your entire channel name is clickbait.
Yes. It's much more yeah, but it's a good kind of clickbait. My actual name is a less good clickbait for more political videos, I guess. What? I'm not sure what that comment means. Somebody please explain it to me.
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
The latest one by Simplicity.
I don't
I didn't see it yet. You probably see it before.
Yeah, you're seeing the future, I think.
I think you need to click the live chat button as well. There's like an option on the top which is top chat or live chat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which is stupid, but
I don't know what that means.
Oh well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, sure. Guys, we've been doing this for 2 and some hours already.
Oh wow.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 now. Yeah, really. Well, is there anything else we want to discuss today?
The clock you have on your video. Yeah, you have a clock running on your video screen.
Yes, from time to time.
We'll be right back. Now did we lose Max again?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Just messing with the system.
I thought you wanted to see the clock.
Guys who are watching, do you have any questions? We're happy to answer them.
Yeah, let's get some geeky questions in if you got them, guys.
Yeah,
yes, please. Everyone like and subscribe. Yes, please.
We have a huge crowd watching us. So I think there must be questions.
No, now everybody is discussing that one comment. That's about it. So people who are watching, do you guys set up your guitars at all? Or is it something that scares you? And is there something you would like to... How to dye a guitar?
Well, dyeing would generally refer to fabric. What I think you mean is staining.
Yeah.
Which would be what this is. This wood was a sort of pale brownish pink. It's not this sort of darker red color. I just use for this, I've got some water-based dyes, wood dye, or rather stain. Got me saying dye now. It's wood stain. Yeah, so yeah, I've got some with water-based wood stains. So you can dilute it to get lighter colors and mix the colors, and then it's just a case of applying it. Typically with you can do it with a brush or a rag, and you can blend colors then and do that sort of thing. But this is very much a case of, it's almost like painting with it. You're just getting a material surface, you're dipping it in colored stain, and then just dropping it into the wood, and you can sand that back and do all sorts of things with it. But it's a fairly simple process. Just takes a little bit of care to get the color to come out, because it's not like paint where you lay it down and that the brightness is there. It'll, it's because it's semi-transparent. It'll take on the coloration of the material underneath. The way you mix the colors on top of each other will change them. So it takes a bit of consideration to get the colors right to what you're expecting. But it's a very easy process to do and looks very pretty.
Yeah, and as Haroon asks, yes, it does keep the wood grain visible. I think that's the idea. If you paint it, you will actually cover the grain.
And it looks like this, at least in Germany. So this is the black stain I'm going to be using for my guitar. The good thing is you can mix it with water and make it brighter or darker if you use more stain.
Yeah, and on the guitar, you actually showed us the blue Ibanez. That like some of that is actually like dyed.
Yeah, it is. It is. You can.
Oh, sorry, stained. Now I'm using dye word as well.
Stained, yeah, because you can actually even see that it was stained here, and then it was probably sanded down here. I just had a tester, so I just took that black stain, put it here, and sanded it down, and that's what I have. So just plain stain with a little bit of oil in it.
A clue to get figuring to really pop on this is to use a dark stain, like a black or a really dark stain first, then sand that back, and just leave the darkness in the darkness will stay in the deeper sections of the figuring, and then you can apply another color on top, and you're left with that darker spot underneath.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm thinking about buying a tube or a valve amp for home use. Any recommendations?
Like a full valve amp?
Well, it's good to know what kind of music you need it for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need a pedal platform with a clean channel, or do you need a high gain thing, or do you need something vintage British kind of tone thing? Because depending on what you actually need, the answer will be different.
Yep. Combo.
Combo.
Mark, what kind of music you play? People, please try to behave. That's just stupid.
Oh, we've got a fun one here.
Yay! How do I?
Yeah, do we have a ban button?
I'm trying to find that one.
Oh well, metal combo. I don't really work with combos that much because I've got the lovely Hoff 9 cabinet and the little lunchbox heads. That's my game. I've not actually any idea what's in the combo market.
I can't imagine. Does Angle have any combos like metal kind of thing?
I think they do.
They have heads, tiny lunchbox heads, which are really cool. I don't know about combos though.
Is it a low wattage thing you're looking for? Who asked the question? I've even forgotten that already.
It was Mark. Mark says he plays mostly metal. Engel has some. Were we talking about Engel amps? I just focused on the troll that I had to delete. So.
Oh yeah, EVH is a really cool combo. 1x12 speaker. I think it has 2 channels. That one's pretty cool for heavy stuff.
Does it have any kind of power scaling or anything for home use?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think it has power. It has what is called master volume, but probably not the power scaling. Yeah, which sucks. For home use, that's true.
Yeah, because 20 watts is a hell of a lot still for home use.
Yeah.
I've been using the 7-watt settings on the orange amps that I've got at the minute, and that's actually pretty good volume.
On orange amps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the same feature as it is on the Rockreverb?
Yeah.
That sort of really cool. Yeah, that is great.
Sort of the half setting and whatnot. It's little terror heads that I've got, a couple of new terror heads that they sent me.
Yeah.
I've yet to send them back.
I think some of those amps actually have like they have like the full and half power, and then they have the headroom to bedroom. Yes. That's a great name for that.
They basically, you can run it at half a watt, and yeah.
Mark, I think one option would be the Brent Hines Terra head. It's a head, and so you would need to have a cab with it, but that's basically a modded Marshall thing. Like Adrian, the lead designer, actually, it's what he said in the interview. Like it didn't mention Marshall, but you could figure out that he means that it's pretty much based on the mods he did on the Marshall amps. So that would be one option. And Colin has played one.
I've played them. It wasn't my favorite of the amps, but it was really good if you like that, as you say, very modded Marshall style tone. If you like that aggressive metal thing, it works. Could have used a bit more gain, in my opinion. But if you got a good overdrive pedal to kick in front of it, it really sounds great.
Yeah, plus the clean channel on those, since it's the same as on the Rocket series, it's a great pedal platform as well if you happen to get into that stuff at some point. So, yep. Like, I don't know if there's a lot of combos for metal nowadays. Mark, I think Colin just read your message.
I read it. Thank you very much. I love you too.
We all read it.
There's love flying around. Wait, no, I don't know what that means. Diesel 20 combo, maybe. Haven't tried those.
That will do, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, That's true. Build pedals from scratch.
I built an amp from scratch once. Oh, actually twice. One and a half times. The first time, I've decided to go for a preamp. So I had a rack case, two spaces rack case, and it was a Soldana clone 3-channel thing. I still use it from time to time. It sounds awesome. It's very heavy though, and it's not really transportable. I would say I wouldn't tour with it because I'm afraid it will just, not survive. But I use it at home from time to time for some recordings or just for fun. And the second attempt was I wanted a combo, but basically I wanted a cabinet with a speaker and a power amp, and with some space where I could put a rack module in. So the enclosure for my preamp, and I had to build the power amp section. So I bought the cheapest at that time Harley Benton amp, and threw out everything I didn't need, and changed the design a little bit, such as it's closer to what I wanted, and it worked for some time.
Yeah, I have like built some of like pedal kits, but I haven't actually like built a single pedal. Because actually I still have like one tremolo pedal that sounds good, but I messed up some of the wiring. So it has like a 20 dB boost on right now. So anytime I want to play tremolo, it like boosts the amp like crazy. It's kind of fun, but I need to check the schematics one more time just in case.
In terms of pedals, I mean, I've done a couple of kits, but building from scratch, they're not in any functional mode at the minute. But this was a valve pedal, and it was very basic circuitry. There's nothing else going on here apart from valve amplification and a few components just to tailor what the amplification factors are and tonal factors. But what happened is I had these operational. If you go back far enough on my channel, you can see videos of these being demonstrated in action. They function. They sound pretty good. And then I sent the enclosures away to get painted in some sort of post-apocalyptic steampunk style. And then when they came back, I could never get them to work again. I put them all back together and they wouldn't work. And then they sat there for a couple of years. And I've just never got around to like get them fixed. I have done that, and these did work at the time. And I'll probably get back to them at some point. But yeah, a little valve-based thing. It was just based off my own design.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I can't read schematics or don't even claim to understand most of them. So yeah, I only build from kits.
I'm trying to find some pictures of that thing, but not much success.
Maybe next time we'll be professional and prepare what we're doing.
We couldn't expect this kind of question anyway, right? Could we?
That's true.
And it's been some time ago.
Something I've learned, like doing woodwork without like proper tools or anything like that, especially like the amp I built from a kit. I also built a matching 1x12 that just came up with the dimensions for it and all of that. And it's like I actually like ordered all of the pieces like pre-cut basically. And because I glued it in our apartment without like proper tools, it became slightly skewed. So the front board of that, I had to like manually cut it afterwards because I couldn't like put it in otherwise. It's get some proper tools when you do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, for me, one of there are two tools which I think are essential. the router and the drill press. I couldn't do this thing without the drill press, because drill press solves a lot of problems immediately. You know what? I ended up even, although I tried to use it to for fretting, and because I didn't have the right head, I ended up using some other tool. I don't know what it's called. I have to look it up. But in that was the only situation where drill press failed for me. But then I actually bought the right thing to put in for fretting, which I never tried yet.
Drill press is the one tool that I didn't have and really wish I did. It's remarkably useful to get holes that you know are going to be straight down the way. Because I was doing it all with electric hand drills and having to try and position it and make sure those holes stayed true, and that wasn't ever fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. But as you say, there's other things like with pressing frets in, or putting spindle sanders on and chucking them up and having a rotary sanding drum on the drill press. All those things really are a really good idea to have a drill press for. So when I get back to building guitars, when I get my workshop back, that's the first thing I'm going to get.
Yeah, that's my dream. Like, whenever we'll be looking for a new place to live in, I think one of the criteria for me would be that there's space for like small kind of workshop where we could get like those kind of things, because I would love to build more stuff.
Well, that's what I want too.
Yeah. The guy who wants advice on pickups, heavy crushing death metal tone, so something I've never played. Maybe you guys know a bit more.
Death metal? Not really.
To be honest, what you find is that a lot of the death metal guys, and it depends what kind of death metal you're talking about, whether you're talking early 90s death metal or modern death metal, but a lot of the, especially the early guys, were just using what they had and made it work. So there's nothing really special needed. It's a case of how you use it rather than what you've got. But again, I don't think I'd go down the myth of really high output pickups being the best for that sort of thing. I think what you probably find is pushing the amp harder with boosting pedals or overdrives and using lower output pickups are probably going to give you a better sound at the end of the day.
And having the Boss HM2.
Oh yeah, having the HM2.
Oh yeah.
Unless, at least if you want to play the Swedish death metal.
Yeah. Just makes everything sound great.
Yep. From clean to mean or something like that.
And nowhere in between.
Yeah, pretty much. I still can't believe that, what's his name? The guitarist guy from Biffy Clyro, that part of his actual guitar sound is the metal zone.
Yeah.
And it works pretty damn well.
I think with the Strat pickups, I think doing that with the metal zone and having the really, intense bass end sort of works for that horrid sort of thick Strat sound that he's going for.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights last summer, actually seeing Biffy Clyro live. And they were playing just before Foo Fighters, which was fun because I think Biffy Clyro, they're super tight live band. And then Foo Fighters come and play their G chord kind of a bit loosely, and it felt weird after that. I didn't expect that, but I actually enjoyed the Biffy Clyro gig more.
Good band. What was it? Their first gig was in a student union or something like that, and they were all under the legal drinking age at the time, so they had to get permission letters from their parents to play this pub gig. That's how they started out. I think that's a really cool kind of story about them.
And I think they didn't they play gigs for 10 years before getting signed or something like that?
Yeah, they'd like, you know, they've been playing for 10 years, they had sort of albums recorded, and then it was like, oh, this brand new breakthrough artist. It's like, nah, we've been going for years.
But the fact that they had to like be really good live or learn to be amazing live, it shows now. Like it was just, yeah. And they just released the MTV Unplugged album as well. I've been listening to that a lot lately. I'm not getting paid by the band. Just happened to go there for some reason.
No, you're in Simon Neil's pocket, don't lie.
Yes, exactly. You know what, guys? I think we should wrap up. 2.5 hours is a long time. Honestly, I think I'll be trying to do the live stream thing monthly. This is really fun, different topics. Sometimes we could just do like a Q&A where people could send questions like beforehand, and it's all kinds of stuff we could do. But yeah, this is fun.
You know what? I think I just found the pictures.
Wow.
Look just like this.
That's incredible.
That looks really German. I just had this discussion with a couple of my friends today about like the amp, what's it called, the Blue Guitar Amp 1 and Engel amps and Houston-Kettner and everything. There's certain look where there's blue lights and a lot of metal. And this is exactly that.
Now that you mention that, yeah, there is the distinct look for them with them all.
But yeah, that looks awesome. But yeah,
but by that time, I wasn't living in Germany for that long. So now that I feel that I'm kind of, I lived here for a little bit too long. But at that time, I think it was 2011 or something like that. So it was really fresh here.
Yeah, it looks awesome. But okay, so people who are watching, if you are not subscribed to these guys' channels, what are you doing? Please go and subscribe right now, immediately, right now. And thanks to everyone who participated, except to that one guy that I had to block. But that was new and fun. And yeah, thanks to you two guys. This was super fun. Let's come up with another topic and do another live stream somewhere in the near future.
I'd love to.
Great.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye. And end.